So I hope you people, the audience, are ready for this one. This one's a classic, an absolute classic argument of Brexiteers, which is Britain's incompetent governing class is squandering Brexit's opportunities. And I love these articles so much because they come up with this possible utopia if we left Brexit. And remember, they said it'd be so easy, and yet somehow the idiots we have in charge have managed to mess things up, despite how easy the win would be. Madness. So, the article goes, 6 years ago, in the early dawn of the Brexit era, I organised a conference, Prosperity UK, to discuss the opportunities available to Britain along the new path its people had chosen. There were more than 500 attendees, including leaders from academia, business, and finance. There was optimism in the air, a far cry from today's more sombre mood. And yeah, I'm sure people are super optimistic given the spin and lies around Brexit. This has the old "and everyone stood up and applauded" energy. Genuinely feels like you just made that up, but sure. The economic outlook for our country today is murky. I wouldn't say it's murky, I'd say it's downright terrifying. But most would hopefully agree that Brexit has been given little chance to succeed owing to attempts to block the deal, the pandemic coupled with the monetary and fiscal policy errors that followed, and the serious incompetence of our political and administrative classes. So, to block what deal? Is he talking about the May deal? Like, what deal was he talking about? Everyone went through the pandemic, and we did worse than the majority of developed nations, and I think even developing nations, to be honest with you, we did so badly. But to argue the pandemic consumed all the government functions is nonsense. They could easily have passed any Brexit bills that they wanted, and with the monetary errors, that's Liz Truss, blaming the incompetence that the Tory party powers. These were the same goons that were mostly there in 2016. These were most of the same goons that have been there since 2010. I think Liz Truss and Jeremy Hunt have been some of the longest running cabinet ministers in this Conservative government, in this Conservative party. So to argue suddenly that, there were some intelligent people back then just doesn't make any sense. Who was meant to run this glorious Brexit utopia? You had the leader of one of the leaders of the Brexit Leave campaign in Boris Johnson running the game for a while. To make these arguments is nonsensical. Because at the end of our forum, the plan for post-Brexit prosperity revolved around four themes: innovation, universities, trade, and tax. So let's break these down. How are you planning to innovate? Like, were you going to create a deregulation zones so experimental science can happen? Like the really dangerous stuff? Like innovate with medication? Get some dangerous medicine testing going, like Umbrella level stuff here? Umbrella from Resident Evil, in case people didn't know, which did the zombie outbreak, and it was bad times all around. Combine that with the universities. We're out of the Horizon programme, so we are suffering due to the top talents leaving the UK, and in future they will probably go elsewhere. So unis and innovation are dead. So there's that. Trade with who? Like, these trade deals we have are garbage, and even the ones. Even if we got the ones with the US, that would not add much to GDP. Ben Chu's gone over this. The UK's gone over this in impact assessment reports. These trade deals add, below 1% at most. Some of these ones add below 1% to GDP. The rest is 1 or half a percentage. It's ridiculous to make these arguments. So this makes no sense. Tax. How are you going to lower taxes when Brexit took 40 billion away in taxes from the exchequer and about 100 billion pounds out of the economy, depending on who you look at? On all 4 points, it's a big L, a big one. The world is entering a new era of innovation. It's always entering a new era of innovation, which may exceed anything seen before in its speed and societal impact. It encompasses healthcare, agriculture, fintech, mobility, marine technology. All these buzzwords here: renewable and carbon-based energy, and underpinning all of it is the power of artificial intelligence, the AI. Things we will fall behind on, all of these things. UK agriculture is struggling with no staff and rising input costs thanks to Brexit and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Healthcare, the NHS is almost done, and in terms of making the next era of medication, we are losing scientists because we're out of the Horizon programme. With the other stuff, the UK is good on fintech, I think. It's fine. Mobility, there's no freedom of movement, so no mobility there, if that's what he's talking about. Renewable energy, we would struggle to make wind turbines and solar panels in this country because manufacturing is dying here and importing got more expensive, and exporting them also got more expensive. They can talk about AI all day, but it's just a buzzword for them. Ask them to explain AI. Ask them to explain what specifically about AI are they talking about, because unless they're talking about the Terminator program, they've got no clue. The United States leads the way, with China making efforts to catch up. Europe lags far behind. I don't think it lags that far behind, but Britain has strengths and comparative advantages in the sectors that count. What advantages? Like, the US has the major chip innovators that are based there: Intel, AMD, Nvidia. We had ARM, but we let it be sold off. I think the Japanese own it via SoftBank, or at least Japanese private investors own it. So where is our advantage? I don't get it. For innovation to thrive, you need, he says, light touch and flexible regulation, escaping the heavy hand of Brussels. Their rules offers an opportunity. Progress, however, has been achingly slow, especially on financial deregulation. More buzzwords. Can you point to the specific legislation you want enacted or changed? Dude has written an article, and once again, there's no specifics. He's arguing about financial deregulation. You do realise the Bank of England and the Prudential Regulatory Authority have said that our financial deregulation plans are going to lead to potentially pension funds collapsing. Is that a Brexit benefit, Chief? Honestly, he says there is evidence of good strategic thinking at the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, with Minister George Freeman's talk of a science superpower and an innovation nation. But to make this real, the department needs to take a much firmer grip on the university sector. A much firmer grip how? So much for the free market and letting students decide what they want to do. And if he is going to turn us into a scientific superpower, why is he begging for us to be in the Horizon program? I thought we don't need the EU, but we need their programs, I see. The UK set up an agreement with Switzerland, which is great. Switzerland, I don't know much about their scientific institutions, but are they going to be anywhere near comparable to the Horizon program, which encompasses which encompasses all the EU nations, and I think a few other ones in the EFTA countries? Switzerland versus the entire Horizon program. I don't know, Chief. I don't know which one's better. You tell me. Obviously, the Horizon program. Turn into trade. The best trade deals are done. This is where it gets really stupid, right? Genuinely really painful, and you can see the kind of imperialistic nature of the author coming out here. The best trade deals are done with complementary trade economies, not those that run in parallel. Makes no sense, but whatever. Britain has a deep historical relationship with a group of countries that, unlike Europe, are not only complementary but growing rapidly. India is set to be the most exciting global economy for the next 30 years. Exciting how? Strong trade deals with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, India and leading African economies would set Britain up for the next decade to come, when these countries will dominate demographic and economic growth. And we traded with these countries because we colonized them. They were part of the British Empire by force. It was not trade, it was exploitation. Like, my man sees history with the colonialist lens. He did not mention the rich trading history we had with Australia and New Zealand, probably because it wouldn't fit in with his narrative of complementary nations. Also, what would we export to India and African countries? Because trade is more geographic. China and the US are outliers because of their size, but a lot more countries exist in the form of trading blocs. The South American countries, for example, are in a trading bloc. I think countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, I think they exist within some sort of trading bloc. We moved from trade from the Commonwealth, from these countries that he mentioned, to countries in Europe, because Europe per capita was richer and is also geographically closer to us. That was the main thing. Geography. The best trade deals are the ones you can do with your neighbours, because it's cheaper to trade with them. Come on, dude. Honestly, man, the lens of imperialism does not fade away from this country, and it's very, very painful. The presumption of Brexit returning powers to our own political establishment was based on the premise that they were up to the job. So far, aside from some small wins, the conclusion must be that they are just not up to it. Debates over the success of Brexit may increasingly come to revolve around what could have been if only we had possessed a capable governing clan. And my guy, we had David Cameron in charge at the time of the Brexit referendum, then May, Johnson, Truss and now Sunak. What indication from any of them, or from any member of the Tory party, any Tory MP, or even the UKIP party or the Reform Party, which one of them told you they were up to the job to do this monumental feat that you are talking about? Dominic Grieve seemed like he was the most intelligent Tory, one of the smarter ones. They kicked him out because he saw it remain. Nothing from this lot indicated they were smart. Where are all these small wins, my guy? More pollution and dangerous toxins. Are these the wins? We're talking about a genocide of bees here with the neotoxins the government wants to use. Debates over what could have happened, no doubt. These will be made up on nonsense that was never possible. Honestly, dude. Honestly, the Telegraph, really, when people write for the Telegraph, clearly the op-ed writers, that we're not sending our best people to write in the Telegraph or these other kind of right-wing papers because this is bonkers. This is absolutely bonkers. It's, oh, we could go back to trading with India and the African countries. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be happy with their former colonizers coming back. I'm sure they'll give us a great deal, most definitely. You know, do you remember that time we colonized you guys? Now look at you. You know, you're thriving here. You know, we got stuff to sell you, and it's like great. You know, honestly, it just, oh my days. Anyways, look, I'm going to leave it there before I blow a gasket. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.